The world turned their back on God a long time ago, and we all saw it happening, long before all this. The sexual depravity, Hollywood filling our minds with garbage, the media spewing lies, the list goes on and on. Is it not possible God said, enough?
Hey, welcome back to Boys Bible Study. It's us. It's your favorite liberal terrorists, your favorite boys. I'm Ash. I'm here with
Scott
and Julian.
Boys, picture a future where mistrust in the government is at an all-time high, an eerie disease terrorizes the land, and the antics of Hollywood has caused God to leave us here alone. The film we watched for this week is so ahead of its time that I'm impressed it was even released to begin with.
I'm surprised they didn't try to assassinate Mike Norris again.
Okay, what is that story?
So skipping ahead a little bit, but today's movie is another film directed by Mike Norris, son of Chuck.
Yes.
You know, the only man to best Jesus in hand-to-hand combat, or whatever the old jokes were.
Which is weird because now he's working with Jesus, but before it seemed like they actually had sort of a rivalry.
Yeah, and he was Jesus in Bells of Innocence.
Right.
Essentially.
Basically,
Right.
yeah, basically.
He did play, a Jesus-like character in that film. But anyway.
Yeah, so Mike Norris made a film in conjunction with the founder of Curves Fitness called Amerigeddon. Right. That was basically showing how the UN was going to launch an EMP, which we'll talk about a little more later on, to destabilize America and take over for reasons not specified. And he claimed that at a screening of the film, a man in a gray suit, or maybe a tan suit, right, Obama? And he sat in the seat behind him and rubbed a substance on Mike Norris's neck, and after coming into contact with that substance, he nearly died or something.
Jesus.
Which, I mean, this is all according to a guy who wrote and directed the movies Amerigeddon and End of Days, Global Catastrophe.
What kept him from dying?
Faith, I would imagine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Probably not modern medicine. Probably nothing, because I don't believe this story at all. Yeah, he rubbed a substance on his back, and when he turned around, there was a note left on the seat that just said, "Welcome to the world of AIDS."
Yeah. I mean, Mike is a beset upon man, like Mike Norris. Like, he always gets sort of like Kubrick in Eyes Wide Shut, you know? He's just like a cinematic artist who gets a little too close to the truth and is punished for it.
Yeah.
We have spent some time with Mike Norris's work before. As Julian was just saying, we covered Amerigeddon last year for 4th of July with our friend Xavier. But also we saw Mike Norris in the past as the star of Bells of Innocence, which is a fantastic 90s Christian fantasy film that we also have previously covered for the show.
He was great in that.
Oh, he's so good. Mike Norris is really good in that movie. He's a good age for an action star. You know, he's probably in his 30s. And, you know, I mean, some actors, of course, are able to age gracefully, still keep their like action star charisma, you know, into their years that for many actors might be considered past their prime. I mean, think of Keanu Reeves, whose career currently is like in bloom yet again, which is pretty amazing. He still seems very relevant. Mike Norris, however, in this movie does just not look good.
Yeah, he had poison rubbed on the back of his neck.
I guess he does look pretty good for a man who was poisoned.
And he's going through the end of days.
Yeah, I guess, now that I think about it, after that many EMP hits, like, would any of us be faring better than him? It's really hard to say.
I'm saying.
But yeah, this is one of Mike's. The film we're covering today, as Julian said, is called Global Catastrophe: End of Days.
What a title.
I know. Oh, man. I mean, it's a title that leaves you in such high hopes, Like, I mean, those 5 words, like, that means everything. Like, these are themes and, ideas, motifs that are on everyone's mind in the time period we're currently living in. And it's just like, you just want a film like this to deliver. And
DOA.
Yeah. Honestly. I've got to say personally, this was not my favorite of the films we watched. However, the universe it created, like with all the personnel and everything, was like really satisfying to me. Like for someone who delights in the genre, I just found it really fun. For instance, there is a credit on IMDb. If you look at the cast, there's an actor named Simply Philip Brown as Tortured Soul. Like I love to see that credit. When I look at a movie and there's a credit that says Simply Philip Brown as Tortured Soul, I'm like, I want to see it. Like I want to know what this is about. Like, please take me there.
I clicked on that guy's profile, and his first 3 pictures on IMDb are 3 different pictures in 3 different outfits, but he's standing the same position.
Wait, what?
With clasping his hands in front of his chest, but it's all from different angles.
Oh, I love that.
It's so funny.
I love that. Oh, what a king. Also, he lists himself as, he says he's a talented artist and entrepreneur in every sense of the word. Blah, blah, blah. He's a CEO and founder of Simply Philip Brown Unlimited, a graphic design brand, corporate identity, and event catering company, which is a mouthful.
Damn.
I want to point out that there's another actor with a unique name that is, of course, Jordan Dragon King.
Yeah.
Who also lists himself as an entrepreneur. I just want to read this sentence from his IMDb. I think it's amazing.
It's Jordan Dragon and then capital King.
Right. One word with 2 capitalized letters. He describes himself on IMDb as a king, soulpreneur, artist, and world citizen. Jordan Dragon King was raised in Arlington, Texas. Intelligent, confident, eloquent, and exceptionally handsome, Jordan Dragon King, since the beginning, has been a trailblazer. Dragon King discovered acting at a young age. However, he would not pursue the craft professionally until later in life, etc. I just I see that. I want to know. I want to know what's going on in this movie. It's delightful.
This is the Mike Norris extended universe.
Yes, because Jordan Dragon
really
King, for
amazing.
instance, has appeared. He appears in Amerigeddon. Famously, he has the part in Amerigeddon where he goes don't shoot me, man. I'm a crisis actor.
I'm doing what they told me to do, man. I'm a crisis actor.
Yeah. He's credited as angry guy in America.
Angry guy. But he then reveals himself to be a crisis actor using those words.
So good.
Yes.
So, I mean, wait. Hold on a second. Do you know who is listed as a consulting producer on this film?
I'm going to guess Larry Elder.
No. Close. Not really, but close. It's Alan Bajan, the director of Bells of Innocence, who, if I'm not mistaken, caught a pedophilia charge.
Yes.
Yeah. A film director here in 2019, film director faces indecency of a child charge. A juvenile authorities say a juvenile victim reported an incident involving 59-year-old Alan Bajan in September. Blah, blah, blah. I get that's all I can really see here. I don't know if that led into anything further?
He was just doing research, like Pete Townsend. He was doing research into the liberal pedophile ring.
I mean, it's again. I don't know what came of that. At least it doesn't, come up further on a cursory Google search.
I don't know how these pictures got on my computer. A man with a gray suit on gave me this laptop.
Right. Yeah, but for people who talk about how the liberal terrorists and the Hollywood sickos are putting the devil back in our lives, this is a man who this is after The Charge, and he's a consulting producer. So just saying,
it's almost like most people's political beliefs are completely arbitrary and have nothing to do with what they actually do in their personal lives.
Right. Well, again, I can't say for sure if he got convicted or whatever of that, but that's the evidence we have. I'll leave that for anyone to look in further. But
we'll have to get him on the pod in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be making our networking decisions accordingly. Let's take people through this film as best as we can. I think it would probably be really tedious to try to capture all the details. We could maybe go generally.
Extremely tedious.
As we get introduced to this movie, we find out that it centers around Crossroads, which, as I wrote in my notes, is a multiracial, conservative, intentional community set in presumably a Texas or someplace like that. I don't know if they ever officially say.
Probably California with all the trouble they're having.
Well, that could be.
Well, they must like it there.
Right.
They never say Texas, but we did a little detective work in the trash cans that have the acronym for the Dallas-Fort Worth Adventure Park.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Which is, very clearly this film was shot on like a paintball obstacle course,
right,
or whatever the fuck they call it. Not a lot of places where there are little houses built out of particle board.
Right. But these adults, it's pretty much all adults. There's no babies, there's no kids. There's a range of ages. There's a big cast. There's a very old man who seems to be suffering from like Alzheimer's or something like that. But there's also a young woman who plays, Mike Norris's daughter in the film. So she's pretty young. But they are all just sort of like living in perfect harmony. They are, separated from the evil of the world within a gate. They have guards who are doing different shifts, taking the watchman position. So
yeah, like we really never leave there except when we go into the demon zone,
right?
Which is an indoor place with red lighting,
right,
and some bars.
Also, probably part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Adventure Park.
Oh, absolutely,
like utility
absolutely.
closet or something.
Yeah, you're right. This movie either takes place within the confines of Crossroads, outside in some sort of nebulous, like, neutral zone.
Yeah.
Lawless zone, or in hell, demon zone. It's I don't know if it was ever pointed out that it was hell particularly, but it might as well be.
I like Demon Zone.
I like Demon Zone.
DZ.
Yeah, DZ, of course. And when we're in this demon zone, we see various, forces conspiring to attack Mike Norris to bring discord to his like peaceful, intentional, multiracial conservative community.
There's one that no match for us is stronger than the rest of these cretins. I want Hunter Wilde.
Yeah, but I think really just the thing I was leading to that sort of like instigates the first push of the movie is that basically the demons like seemingly convince one of the men from Crossroads to hang himself, and they discover his like lifeless body hanging from a noose, which is pretty disturbing.
Sorry, I'm actually reading the Bible, the verses that lead up to the opening verse of this movie, and it is just crazy how people sometimes will just pick verses out of context.
Yeah.
Like it's from a very specific suggestion of what's happening on Earth right now, and it doesn't really fit.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the vision that they're.
No, but if you just take that verse out, it does.
Okay.
And that verse, of course, was notably the English Standard Version, because the other verse that they use in the movie is NIV, so that's a little weird too.
So they handpick their translation just for dramatic effect here. Anyway.
Yeah, but English, that opening verse is Isaiah 24:1, and it was, "Behold, the Lord will empty the earth and make it desolate, and he will twist its surface and scatter its inhabitants."
Okay.
The verses before that have nothing to do with an EMP or a disease or anything like that, strangely.
They also had the really funny line. This is way before where we are in the movie right now, but when there's the ambush at the like supply exchange at the beginning, and Mike Norris has the what were they? They were like ISIS 2 or whatever.
Oh,
right.
He just has like an ISIS cell. Yeah, I'll put that clip in.
Yeah, an ISIS cell was ambushed Mike Norris during like a supply drop or something.
We got jumped at the drop.
What? By who?
I think it was some ISIS rebels. Last I heard, they were 300 miles out.
Mike Norris has the guy cornered, pointing a gun at him, and the guy lost his gun. The ISIS guy lost his gun, and he says, "You're a Christian. You'll kill in self-defense, but you won't kill a defenseless person."
You won't kill me, Christian. I'm no threat. I'm unarmed. It goes against your beliefs.
Murder him.
You'll kill in self-defense, but you won't kill the defenseless.
Which is such a funny interpretation of Christianity that, like, gives... Since when did Jesus ever say it was okay to kill in self-defense?
Right.
And Scott, you raised a good point that the only time Jesus was violent in the Bible was because of capitalism.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that assessment too, because it makes Christians like an RPG class or something. It's like, like Christians will enact like this in a specific combat scenario. They'll act like this in a specific combat scenario, and I was very.
We all
very
know
funny.
you're a lawful good paladin,
right? Exactly, and. Yeah, also, I mean, God, so many fucking funny things about that scene. I mean, this movie really goes all over the place, but like, I love that.
He also leaves the guy just like tied up alone.
Yeah.
Which is like basically the same thing as killing him.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
But also in the supply drop, he's looking at a big bag that says like ointments.
Yeah, he says, "I got
like,
your ointments."
Yeah, like this man this man like risked his life for sort of unidentified ointments.
Yeah, essential oils.
Yeah. I mean, those are good for everything. Like, well, it just goes to show you, and I don't know. I mean, it's a bit tricky to try to condense all of this. It's happening very like imagistically, like things are just little data points are being presented all over the place, and you're just sort of like left to like interpret all these things like a kaleidoscope or one of those like Google Deep Dream photos where, you know, it's like a dog's ear on like, you know, like a piece of food or whatever, and you're just sort of like your brain's trying to make sense of all the little parts. And that's like the best that you can do while watching Global Catastrophe End of Days. He's like, oh, it's ISIS, and they're trying to prevent me from getting my ointments back to, you know, my intentional community. There's like coronavirus. Well, they don't say it, but you know, there's also a zombie virus. And like,
remember there was that van guy that was like sending bombs to like,
oh yeah,
Kamala Harris, and like it was like reading the outside of his van.
Yes,
in those photos.
But yeah, you know, as we're sort of traversing through this mess of you know, various like terrorist and end of days like, you know, scenarios, we are treated to a look in the demon realm. The demon Baal, I believe it's not the devil. I believe it is specifically the demon Baal, Baal.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's cool.
I'm looking in the credits. There's no one specifically called the devil. So I think Baal is the highest class of demon that we confront in this film. He is having this fucking gay ass dialogue with the tortured soul who he's like sending out to do his bidding to try to like conscript Mike Norris in the demon realm. And why do the demons like all talk to each other saying stuff like, just like fucking thesaurus talk at each other? Like, it's so tedious.
Human suffering. It brings me such gratification. Now that our new dominion has been established, we can unleash our full wrath.
And when they lose all hope, they will follow anyone.
Why are they all British?
Yeah.
Yeah. British people are evil. All demons are British.
Yeah.
Is Baal even in Christianity?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they mentioned Baal. Yeah.
Yeah, Old Testament, but yeah.
Why Baal? Why not just simply Satan? I guess because Baal sounds, a little more specific and like mystical and epic, I guess. I don't know. It would be a little too on the nose if it was just straight up the devil.
And it's more corny to try to do Satan on a budget. You gotta at least
true.
Have,
Save something for the sequel.
Right.
When another EMP blast goes off.
But, there was just this unnecessary, why must Baal be commanding another demon to do his bidding? And then there was all these fucking discussions as to like the hierarchy in the demon realm while there's like people in chains kind of like moaning like softly in the background. And there's that hilarious scene where he's like...
That wasn't just any moaning. That was the moaning of Simply Philip Brown or whatever his name was.
Yeah, that's it. Simply Philip Brown. Yeah. There's that hilarious scene where Baal or somebody is talking to that like Christian who's not referenced at all later in the movie, and he's like, "You believed in your book, but your book did you no good, did it, Christian? It does you no good here." And the Christian's like moaning and whimpering and like looking dead at the camera.
Your Bible can't help you now, can it? From here forward, there are only plagues and nightmares in store for you. You and every other little wretched bit of mud and ghost who doesn't understand what was written in your master's own book.
You know what? I take it back. I initially, after the movie ended, said that they should have cut out all of those scenes, but that reminded me that it was all worth it for that.
Yeah, they should have just left that scene and never come back to it at all. Like that would have been pretty sick if they used it maybe more sparingly. But it really took up like a third of the runtime of the film. Like it was really a mess. And the whole climax of the film is just them doing all that fucking like spiritual warfare shit that we hate in movies. Like it's so much of, they're in the demon realm and they're all charging up, and then in the human realm, they have Mike Norris on a table and he's just lying there, but we're supposed to like appreciate that he's like undergoing like spiritual torment because he's just like bleeding for no reason. And everyone's just kind of like fucking charging up like in the 4 episodes of Dragon Ball Z before the battle actually happens,
Never clear why these demons want Hunter. What's his name? Hunter Wilde.
Hunter Wilde. My brain wants to say Hunter Biden every single time.
Of course.
Never clear why these demons want Hunter Wilde this whole time. Never, at no point does he ever show anything except for like incompetence,
right?
And putting everybody else in the commune in danger by like bringing somebody who's been exposed to a deadly zombie plague into the camp.
He's the only one who just like goes for a drive.
Yeah, he's the only one who leaves. He does like the classic like little kid running away from home thing where he just like is clearly like a 10-minute walk from the commune.
What are you doing?
I just need to get out of here.
For what?
Look, Joe, I'm just going to go out for a couple days and look around.
Dad, no. We just talked about this last night, and now you're gonna leave again.
All I want to do is go out about 50 miles, do a circle, and work my way back in. That's it.
Yeah, well, how is this gonna go with the others?
They're going to have to get over it.
Yeah, he's literally like, I need to get out for a while.
Yeah. And like when somebody like brings up the fact that he's putting everyone in danger, he's just like, no, that's not true.
Well, I want to.
She's fine.
Totally. Well, I want to explicate that scene a little more in just a moment, because that's like one of the most crucial parts of the film. But before we do that, I just wanted to say that it's really important to note about Mike Norris's character is that he is a trope that we encounter time and time again in these Christian films. We've been beating the drum about this since the beginning. With literally our first episode where we watched the movie Last Ounce of Courage, there's a character in that film named Bob Revere who summarizes this entire archetype. So we as a podcast have chosen to call this type of character the Bob Revere character. This is a middle-aged white man who, you know, is often like a father or of a fatherly age. You know, he represents order. He misses a more pure time in American history. You know, he's conservative. He does everything right. He has no flaws. His only flaw is that he cares too much.
Never do these characters do anything that, like, it's all about the way that they carry themselves and your preconceived ideas of what a good leader is when you go into these movies, because they never ever do anything that shows
good leadership,
that they're exceptionally good at anything in life. They just like are extremely condescending towards anybody who has a different viewpoint from them,
right,
or is of a different race or gender than them or age. And they're the kind of person who will complain about like stupid regulations, and then just like their reasoning being, it's just common sense.
Right.
They're that kind of guy.
Totally. And that's what Mike Norris is as Hunter Wilde. God, look at those fucking names. There's Bob Revere and there's Hunter Wilde, which is just like, you know, if you look at that on a page, your brain explodes. Yeah, it all just shows, you know, this is a film, this is the angst of the suburban family man, you know? Like, this is yet another one of those movies where it's like, wow, we let dad out of the cage and he's gone absolutely apeshit on the haters and the losers. But, you know, this film couldn't even really manage to like pull that out. Like, you know, we do get a scene at the end of Mike Norris using like a chain on some guy. There's one hand-to-hand combat scene, but that's like noticeably absent from the film too. He literally just like throws a tantrum and is like, well, you know, I got to get out of here for a little bit. And his daughter's like, why? And he just goes like, it's just what I have to do. And we're supposed to sort of like sympathize with his like righteous anger. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's like they wrote this movie thinking that like they came up with like all the symbolism, but forgot to put any of the actual like meaning behind it.
Yes.
So you end up with like demons who are evil. They don't do, the only thing a demon does that is evil is allegedly like force someone to kill themselves, which is kind of up for debate given the setting that the movie takes place in, which is the world has collapsed and there's a disease that turns you into zombies. Like, I don't really blame somebody for killing themselves if that's what the world is like.
Sure.
So yeah, the demons don't do anything evil. They just like whisper in your ear in like a effeminate British voice and tell you like the Bible is stupid. And the good guys don't do anything particularly good, except say they're Christian, yet leave people to like starve to death in the wilderness instead of maybe like trying to like bring them to Christ or something, which seems like maybe if Hunter Wilde had like captured the ISIS guy at the beginning and proselytized to him or something and brought him over to Christianity. That seems like a reason why maybe the demons would be after him. But instead, they're just after him because he's the main character. And he's the main character because he says he's doing a lot of good and sacrificing a lot. But we never once see him do anything. Like, nobody does anything. Nobody evil does anything evil in this movie. Nobody good does anything good in this movie. It's just literally people talking and being like, I'm good and they're evil. It's a very much like a childlike understanding of the world and dynamics of like power. And yeah, it's crazy. He's just a fucking rich kid to make this movie.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But basically all that really happens in it is a guy hangs himself and then his wife leaves the compound.
Yeah. That's it. It is a very, very watered down version of the parable of the sower.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you, Julian. Yeah, where is their active force for good in this world? Like this movie,
he gives supplies to the guy at the beginning, and that's it.
And then that guy dies anyway.
Yeah,
that guy dies, and he has a bad guy. Basically, he could do anything he wants to this bad guy, and he leaves him to die. Despite the fact that like they spend the rest of the movie talking about how like, oh yeah, God left us behind to save the earth. Like, but in this version of Christianity, saving the earth is just like killing everyone who does not agree with you, which I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of stuff in the Bible about like bringing non-Christians to Christianity.
Yeah.
And like helping evildoers come to the side of good, to put it in very simplistic terms that Mike Norris could understand.
Are you sure it doesn't say something about just living in your own bubble and wringing your hands, yelling at each other?
Yeah.
For then bringing people who've been exposed to diseases into your bubble.
Yeah.
Well, I just realized that what this movie really reminds me of is the Herzog movie Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Because that's another movie about light-skinned people just like slowly trying to survive in a world where they know they're going to eventually get picked off one by one. And like they can do nothing other than float down a river and like turn on each other as like the walls of nature and like a society that hates them are closing around them at all sides. But the only force they can do is just try to make their death like a little more slowly than it would have gone otherwise.
That's a good comparison. I think an easy way to fix this movie is once again redo that opening minute and a half, 2 minutes or so, and just say that the rapture has already happened and these guys have no idea.
Yeah, they don't know.
I mean, somebody says that at some point, doesn't he? Doesn't the like older priest-like character say that at one point?
Yeah, their reverend is like, why didn't we get raptured?
Paul, you lead them. You're their pastor.
I might be their pastor, but my faith is being tested like never before.
Paul, no. Why are you saying that?
Why are we still here?
Paul, this is the safest place we can be.
No! Not like that! We should have been raptured.
Oh yeah, but I felt like he was just saying like, why hasn't this just happened yet with what the state of the world is at this point?
I thought he said like maybe everybody else got raptured and we got left behind. Because that's how they get in like the conversation of, oh, has God abandoned the earth?
Yeah.
And they seem to all be in agreement that God has abandoned the earth.
Yeah.
Which is just that weird, like what suppose God has a head. And what do you think's like going through that head of hers? If she was like, I'm done with Earth. I'm going to go to Jupiter now.
And get more stupider.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't have to say that every time.
I mean, what is the point of what they're doing? It's just such weird logic of like, we have to serve God and save the earth, but God has also abandoned us because she's sick of humanity. And But like, you know, we got to keep doing good by like killing other people here.
Right. Well, yeah, it's just so entitled. Like, the earth is mine to scorch. Like, I see no more good here. Therefore there is no God here. And it's just a free zone. Like, I might as well just take as much of it down with me as I can, because when I die, the world is done.
Yeah. And the weird thing where they're like, we're good. The reason we're here is because we're the best Christians and we have to save the earth.
Right.
So we can't die. We can't die or we'll go to heaven.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about even Amerigeddon, you know, which is like very similar DNA to this movie. A lot of the same people from 3 years prior. Amerigeddon is another film where it's like, it's a fantasy about how when the fires start burning, my family is just going to survive. We were prepared. You guys weren't. So we're going to drink hot chocolate in our panic room while the world goes up in flames all around us.
Yeah. No outsiders allowed. This will be just like in the Bible. We're going to have a lot of incest, and that's how we'll start society over. So I'm sorry you weren't prepared, but you can't come in.
Yeah. And this is another one of those. Like, it's just, you know, I know we say this a lot when it comes to watching, you know, these movies, but like, really, in all seriousness, who is this for? Like, this is not for anyone else, because the whole fantasy of the movie is that I'm the only one left. And it's not even really that like we can identify with, and I guess like the most generous reading is that we could see ourselves in the characters because, you know, we'd be prepared just like them. But like, I don't know. I just think it's clear when you watch these movies that no, it's about Mike Norris saying, I, Mike Norris, am going to be the last one left.
Yeah. Because so this whole movie, they like are never quite working together as a team other than at like the very beginning. And Mike Norris isn't there when that's happening. So obviously he's part of the problem. So, but once they get towards the end, the only time they team up again is when they all like pray together around him to like save him. But then it cuts to him just like slaying the demon by himself, basically.
Yes. And just before that, the demon is tempting him. And we're supposed to understand that this is a bad temptation, but the demon is tempting him by saying, you are a god, Hunter. Like the camp doesn't treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. Like, come with me and you will be worshipped like a god.
Come with me, Hunter. Come with me and you will be worshipped like you deserve.
And he's like, sort of like sitting there like, it seems like, is he going to give in to temptation? Is he not? But if you actually look at the movie, he has fully given into that temptation. Like, he is the god of their society. Like, he's spoken about in glowing terms by everyone. Like, you know, that dark like idea of what it would be like if the power has gone to his head has already manifested, and the whole like failure of his entire project is because of that sin, you know?
Yeah.
It's
a very good point.
And you know, my cousin's friend gave into that temptation and his testicles swelled up. And he was supposed to get married, but his wife called it off.
Yeah. It could happen happens to the best of us. Oh my God. We're podcasting hours after the Nicki Minaj tweet that shook the country and our entire society to its core.
That shook this Zoom call.
Anyways, but you know, actually the final thing, you know, if there's anything else to bring up, we can, but the final thing I wanted to make sure we touched on, because it's so, you know, relevant to everything right now, is the way that this movie handles the zombie infection, specifically the scene when Hunter Wilde, Mike Norris's character, decides to just randomly bring into the camp a girl he met outside who's in trouble. The scene that happens when that interaction occurs is like extremely telling to me. I really couldn't believe it. It was pretty remarkable. I mean, basically, they provide to summarize this, and then we can discuss, but like they basically provide his fellow, campers, the people who live at Crossroads, they give Mike like the barest essentials of protocol. They're like, don't bring anyone into the camp. And he's like, well, I did. And they were like, well, she needs to be tested at least. And he's like, no.
So how did this happen? Just find a girl wandering out there?
Look, she's been living on her own. Her whole family had some sort of disease, and her dad's been...
What?
What disease?
I don't know. Mumps, Ebola, measles, I don't know.
So you're telling me that you just put this entire town at risk of extinction?
She doesn't have it.
How do you know, Hunter?
She's got no one, and I killed her father.
Look, Dad, I'm sorry to sound so callous, but we've seen enough death, and now you're just willing to risk all of our lives over this.
I'm the one that's been keeping us safe. I know what I'm doing.
Not anymore. If Ella has something that can kill us all. I'm going to get Chris.
Claire, don't go near anybody. I'm putting us on quarantine until she's tested.
She has no symptoms. They would have shown up by now.
You don't know that. I held her hand, Dad. Why didn't you say something at the gate?
She needed help, and I helped.
You know better. Mr. Geis's ranch was ravaged by this, and now we might be too, thanks to you.
No, I've had enough of this. She's fine.
Oh, have you? Well, you're not leaving until we test that girl.
I don't need your permission.
Do not leave. Dad, do not leave. Dad!
And like outdoors, the woman's like, I think I'm immune. And he's like, well, that's very lucky.
I'm the only one that hasn't gotten sick.
Sick?
Everyone just looks like monsters. Started with my grandpa. He's got these bumps all over his skin. And my grandma, everyone's either dying or dead.
How did you not get sick?
I don't know. I always just kept myself clean. And I sometimes wonder if I was immune somehow.
You're a lucky kid.
I mean, it's been proven that the zombie disease does not spread outdoors. Okay,
right,
it spreads,
right.
When you're in close contact inside without proper circulation.
Right. It spreads when you're around like service workers or like people sort of lower in class to you. Like it's really important that those people are constantly, masked up. But if you're just like with your buddies, it's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's cool because the zombie disease, you can't get it if you leave your house without a mask on, put your mask on outside, get in your car, drive with your mask on to your destination. And then when you get to your destination, you take your mask off as soon as you get inside.
Yeah.
You can't get it that way.
No.
There's a lot of things you can do to sort of like throw the disease off your trail.
Yeah, throw it off the trail. But he doesn't even do that in this movie.
Yeah.
Even I love when after they have the whole like blow up because he refused to just administer what appears to be, as far as I can tell, a COVID rapid test. But he brings the girl in, putting them all at risk of death, like in the rules of this movie. And then they give her a test and they're like, well, she doesn't have it. Well, that was a close call.
It's good. You dodged a bullet on this one.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. Mr. Hunter saved my life.
Hey, no, Ella, this is not your fault.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. But I'll go find him. He's probably just blowing off some steam.
So it's like, I love that because he didn't even like, in the logic of this movie, which was, I think in part, made before COVID, but even so, in the logic of this movie, he could have just brought the girl to the camp, said, I found this girl. I really want to admit her. Can you test both of us? They instantly provide a test that says they're both fine. And they say, all right, come in. And that would have been fine. But that's not enough. It's a fascinating look into the mind of this type of man. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And that whole part was just like so forced in too. Like it really has like all it really showed, which I'm sure is not what he's trying to show, is that like he's shitty and not a team player.
No.
And just does whatever the fuck he wants.
It's called being a leader.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Yeah, they owe him a debt of gratitude because he established his community. He saved all of them, as many of the characters are quick to point out.
According to him.
Yeah, that one guy with like Alzheimer's vaguely like has a moment where he's lucid suddenly, and he's just like, we have to listen to everything that Hunter Wilde says.
I'm your daughter.
You're my daughter?
Yeah, Papa. My name is Claire.
How's Hunter doing?
You remember Hunter?
Hunter brought us here to protect us.
Yes. Yes, he did.
We need to keep him in prayer. The enemy is going to test him. Attack him.
What attacks are you talking about? Papa, what attacks are you talking about?
Oh, we should touch on that more. Like the fact that the guy with dementia is like, well, maybe he's a prophet. He said some weird stuff in a language I don't understand.
Yeah.
That was such a funny way of like validating their belief that like, oh, this guy who's constantly fucking up and putting everyone's lives in danger is actually like the hero to save us all, because this guy with dementia who's been rambling nonsense the whole time, he might actually be a prophet.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And the way they lead into that too is like, at first he doesn't remember his daughter's name, but then he remembers, somebody else he knew for a long time's name, and they're like, huh? Like, that happens to people with dementia.
Right.
Like, I don't...
Yeah.
Right. And they're blown away by that. And then he's like, he's an omniscient prophet, right? And we should be constantly praying for him and like obeying everything he says. And they're like, wow.
Definitely not just combining random memories and experiences he's had in his past together.
This is how people join like the Manson family and shit. Because they just arbitrarily pick some fucking person rambling like an idiot. And they're just like, you might be onto something.
Well, I love how like spiritual hunches in general just like dominate the entire course of this movie, because I
don't mean to say rambling like an idiot, because in this case, this person clearly has dementia, and they say he has dementia, which like maybe would give you, not that like people with dementia don't deserve like love and care, but you might not want to just like take what they say as the word of God.
Yeah, sure.
The literal word of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
But also like, I just think about, that man literally with dementia has a spiritual hunch that inspires them to rally behind their leader, who's shown like that he's willing to kill them all at a moment's notice. But also like when he's in the wild and he finds the girl who's been exposed to the virus, and he's like, well, why didn't you get it? And she said, I tried to keep myself clean. I think I'm immune. And he's just like, well, that's very lucky. And then he gets a hunch to like bring her back. Like,
that's like people who are like, oh yeah, I think I don't worry, I'm immune to coronavirus. I got sick back in October of 2019.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes.
I had a headache at some point during 2019. I'm pretty sure I have the antibodies.
Yes. It's really remarkable. I think, it's funny because I do think this was a pre-COVID film, and even the parts with disease, I don't exactly know, but I do think that to some extent, even the disease parts were pre-COVID. And if I'm correct, I think this could be one of the most instructive films about like conservative attitudes toward COVID, because it was like how they would react in a completely hypothetical, fictional pandemic, like zombie pandemic.
They nailed it.
And and they nailed it, where it was just like, well, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get the zombie disease because I work out and I like get vitamin D and stuff. So it's not gonna affect me.
I take my oils.
Right. And then there's other people around him, mind you, in the fiction that he has written. That he didn't need to include any of this. This is completely like his own choice. In the fiction that he has written, there are characters around him who are loved ones who are like, can't we just give her a test? And he's like, no,
she's fine. Why are you wasting your time?
And then they give her a test anyway, and they're like, well, I guess it was fine. Close call there. Well,
he's like, see, I was right the whole time.
There's something there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You are absolutely right. I didn't even think of it that way.
There's something there.
It's also really funny, the conversation he had with the girl that he picks up in the wilds, where she's like, why do you keep doing this? And he says he has just some sort of compulsion to keep moving and like keep doing stuff because he feels like he's being chased, which is just like PTSD and anxiety that he's describing. But it like really ties together with like the Aguirre comparison.
Yeah. I'm fidgety and irresponsible.
Yeah, it's people who cannot stop themselves from making their situation worse because they just can't stop moving.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're a Christian and you were left behind to save the earth. It's because you're too stupid to realize that you like can't not put yourself in danger because you can't sit still.
Or listen to any of the people who love you for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So please continue making like supply drops by yourself so you can get ambushed by ISIS and get other survivors killed because of your own incompetence.
Man, I love this movie now.
Yeah, this movie rips.
What do you say, guys? I mean, any loose ends to tie up? I mean, they're fine at the end.
Yeah, the final Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 15:57.
The movie just ends.
Yeah, it really does.
Go ahead with the Bible
It really
verse.
does. It really does. And then they throw on the Bible verse, which again is
What's
1
the
Corinthians 15:57, which says, oh, and this is the New International Version, not to be confused with the English Standard Version.
Right.
But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. I guess that's what happened.
He does. Yeah, he does do that.
There's absolutely no point to this movie.
No,
it's so funny.
No,
it's just like this poor man's tortured mind. This is like a movie that you would find written on like several. It's like you find a notebook at like a bus stop with this script like scribbled into it. Of just like, I have to stop the demons because the zombie virus that was unleashed by the liberal elites has overtaken the world because I'm the one good Christian. And as we know, Jesus would never kill a defenseless man, but he would kill in self-defense.
Right. But you know what's so funny, but also it's like I should just come to expect it from this type of movie is that, yeah, similar to that notebook you find at the bus stop, at first it seems really interesting because, you know, the pieces are all very like arousing and kind of, violence, but really all combined together, they're just like someone's lonely brain, like firing off. Like when you actually like pull all those things together, like nothing happens.
Yeah.
I bet Baal made him make this movie.
Produced. Wow, weird. Consulting producer Baal.
Hey, say what you will about Baal, but he doesn't have any child endangerment, pending charges.
There you go.
Well, something that's really weird about Baal, though, is that he won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with the decision, not bullied.
That was a tweet by Mike Norris about why he won't be attending the premiere of Global Catastrophe End of Days.
What do you say, boys? Should we rate this film?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
It is.
This is a film for the Henley class. The Henley long sleeve shirt. That's the long sleeve cotton shirts with the they don't have collars, but they do have the 3 buttons like a polo shirt, which is the one shirt that Mike Norris wears this entire movie and is probably the one shirt that every middle-aged man who sees this movie and agrees with whatever the hell happened in this movie is probably wearing.
Yep.
Yeah, looks a lot like the top half of like Prospector underwear. Yeah, great movie. The Ramblings of a Madman. I will give this one vat of ointment. One vat of survival ointment out of one vat of survival ointment.
Yeah, I mean that's as good as it gets.
Let's see. This movie was really stupid and written really poorly, not paced very well. And I had a great time watching it. I'm going to have to give this 10 ISIS rebels out of 10 liberal terrorists.
The cabal of liberal terrorists. And then it was an ISIS cell.
Yeah.
So tight.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, as for me, like, I thought this film was like really perfect in what it captured, which was, I thought it was, very illustrative of conservative attitudes toward the pandemic. And I also thought it showed the magical alchemy that happens when, a conspiracy theory addled man puts all of his powers, all of his influences together and makes the most boring fucking movie ever. Because at the end of the day, these theories are more lonely than anything. They're more alienating than exciting. And I think this film really showed that well. I honestly came to love it. I hated it at the beginning, and after our discussion, I loved it. I'm going to have to give this film, 666 rapid zombie virus tests out of 666 because you better have that many packed in your intentional multiracial conservative community.
It sucks because for a lot of freelancers, you have to get like the PCR rapid zombie virus test,
right?
Which can cost like $75,
right?
And a lot of places won't reimburse you for that,
right?
Yeah, I think it's like something like communes with 100 people have to have all of their members vaccinated,
right? So that's why I say just stop letting people in after 99. Because like for me personally, like I don't know if I'm going to get the vaccine because my cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and he became impotent. His testicles became swollen. It can happen.
And if there's any confusion about any of that, be sure to ask the oldest man with the most severe case of dementia that you can find.
That man is
for answers.
A prophet. Well, I hope you all enjoyed our breakdown of Global Catastrophe, End of Days. I highly recommend watching this movie. It's on YouTube, so just do a search for it. You'll find it for free. I'll link it. Thank you so much to everyone who listened. But if this is your first time here, we highly recommend you go to boysbiblestudy.com. There's links to subscribe to our show anywhere you can find it in any podcast app. So hit subscribe. Stay tuned for our future episodes every other Sunday. On the opposite Sundays, we put out bonus episodes for our generous patrons. Patreon.com/boysbiblestudy. If you subscribe for $5 per month or more, you'll be getting new Boys Bible Study content every single Sunday. So we would love to see you on there. Really means a lot. If you like the show, we ask that you kindly leave a review on Apple Podcasts and tell us what you think. We got some really nice reviews since the last time we asked. So thank you for that. We really appreciate your encouragement. Shout out to our patron saints, patrons at the $20 tier, for your generous support. We shout you out at the end of every episode if you pledge $20 per month or higher. Thank you so much to Nicole, Marissa, Jeff, and Jane. We couldn't do it without you. Our outro music is Oh My God by Mary. From all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-hosts, Scott and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And with you.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me. Every day